Snyder said never, never, never. He said he would never change the team name, the Washington football team's name. That it became the football team, then the Commanders. He said he would never sell the franchise. Well, Forbes breaks the story a few days ago. They're exploring the sale. And they try to save face in both the Forbes leak that happened before their public announcement about it and in their statement, saying, we're exploring all options. They have to kind of posture that a minority sale could be likely. But Snyder literally just had to buy out minority owners, who owned smaller pieces of the team because he had driven the value below what they wanted to contribute to, and like also the workplace culture of it all was so horrific that people wanted to distance themselves from it. And so Snyder was just kind of grasping at straws, threatening to to release blackmail on the commissioner and on other owners. And then after this news breaks about the potential sale that they're exploring with Bank of America leading the charge, the entity that they've hired to conduct this, then the news breaks. Okay, here's what probably accelerated this. There's a criminal investigation into the entity. Eastern District of Virginia is opening up an investigation into financial improprieties potentially conducted by the Washington franchise. This comes after months of a House committee investigation, and they've been cooperating with the FTC on the business practices of the Washington franchise here, including withholding ticket revenue from the visiting teams, which is a part of the agreement, and under the NFL, which is like a collection of these separate corporate entities that are teams. Also withholding deposits from fans on their tickets.
So he's a businessman.
Yeah,
you're
well, yeah, he's but of this flavor, he's particularly egregious. We're just violating the law. They Another element that I think probably did him in was that he concealed some of the revenue. I think this is separate from the visiting team money because that you have to pay the visiting team that's coming some of the revenue, but also like generally you have to revenue share with the league on what you make on some games, and they were allegedly concealing what the true amount of the shareable revenue to the rest of the league. And one of the former employees testified in the congressional probe saying that the team had two books, one that was real and one that was the revenue that they were supposed to be sharing with the rest of the NFL. So that is illegal. That is financial impropriety. And if it's proven, then they could be in really, really tough, a really, really tough situation. So this is just like another layer of the crookedness of Daniel Snyder. And, I know he wanted to hold on to the team for his kids. Oh, how lovely. But it gets to a point where if this criminal investigation goes anywhere, he's just going to lose the team in general. And he bought it for under $1 billion right before the turn of the century. I think in 1999 he purchased the team, or 97, somewhere around that. And now it's going to be worth a lot more than that because the Denver Broncos just sold for $5 billion. I'd imagine that the Washington Commanders will sell for somewhere around that, even though, man, he has done everything he can to plummet the value of the team. But what is going to increase the value of the team, and why someone like Jeff Bezos has expressed interest, I just wish that there were more of a push for collective ownership, but literally the NFL's bylaws prevent that. Saying that we want to include another billionaire in our club. The Packers, we don't like that corporate structure. People don't get rich off that. Go on.
No, I was just gonna say it's absolutely hilarious timing because it's not as if like we see the announcement, like you said, that he's potentially furnishing Bank of America to explore a sale, and then we're like, oh my God, great news. And we're like, wait a second. This is Dan Snyder we're talking about. This dude would never do this unless he actually had a concrete reason to get this asset off his hands.
Well, he's been clinging to it.
Right. And then immediately after the investigation is announced, essentially, it wasn't just like Tanya.
And that's not,
for the kids.
That's outside of the personal, not personal, but the NFL investigation, which is a secondary investigation.
Right. To say nothing of the other one, the league investigation.
His first investigation was internal among the Washington Commanders. That was buried. Then they got heat because there was no information to come out of it, and it was done within the Washington Commanders. So the NFL was like, okay, we're taking this on. They have a corporate investigation into it, let alone the House probe, let alone the lawsuits about misconduct within the workplace, and now there's a criminal investigation.
Are just closing in.
So it could not be worse for him, and it's completely of his own doing.
Absolutely.
And so like when I say the value of the Commanders should be less than the Broncos, I don't know if that's the case based on this one factor. One, the market's Washington D.C., so decent market. Two, they are clearly in talks with one of the two Republican governors in Maryland or Virginia, Hogan or Youngkin, right? You're better with names than me.
The Virginia governor?
Hogan and Youngkin.
Yep, and Maryland governor.
Just triple checking.
Two Republicans, yeah.
Yes, Hogan and Youngkin, who are going to be very happy to give away taxpayer money for a new stadium. Democrat might be a little less willing, although Kathy Hochul just broke the record in Buffalo, but I digress. They're going to get a sweetheart deal for whoever sells this team, because everybody in the DMV area is probably pissed at the way that Snyder has managed this franchise that once was a proud member of the Shield and probably would have brought revenue to the states if they had been competent over the tenure of his ownership. But now that he's gone, they can excommunicate him and then give a big fat taxpayer giveaway to the billionaire that does end up buying the franchise, where they can get a shiny new stadium.
And a few weeks ago, Drew McGarry on Defector mentioned this in one of his a weekly NFL preview columns. Like, I think also the moment that Snyder lost most of his leverage is from what we were talking about a few weeks ago when that big ESPN report came out, is losing Jerry Jones.
Yeah.
You lose your only ally, and of course it is most likely, given how many off the record sources from within ownership groups in the NFL contributed to that piece, that essentially everyone of the owners of the teams hate Snyder, and the only one who kind of didn't was arguably the most important owner in Jerry Jones.
And who knows if he actually authentically didn't, because, well, birds of a feather, but at the same time, I guarantee you he liked having that idiot in his division who was going to beat some easy wins.
I'm sure there were a few perks to it, which, like you said, is like keep the idiot close and kind of sanction the dumb shit that he does, because, like you said, gives the Cowboys a few easy wins every year.
Yeah.
And two, it's kind of like keep your enemy close, or the devil in the sense of being like, yes, he's a maniacal, spendthrift weirdo shitbag, but at least he loves me, or at least needs me in a way.
Yeah.
And now that's kind of because now that the chickens are more coming home to roost, and he was kind of talking shit about Jerry Jones, according to that report. I bet Jerry Jones was like, all right, I don't need you anymore. Goodbye.
Yeah. I mean, when
smell you later, Dan.
He might have heard that this dude's collecting blackmail on you.
Right.
All right. Bye-bye. Yeah. And then
my standing's fine.
Yeah.
I'm not being investigated by the league and prosecutors and the House of Representatives.
But they just quietly settled, the Cowboys did, that lawsuit by the former cheerleaders that one of the team officials was filming them in their locker room.
Right.
So who knows?
But even that's
what's in Jerry Jones's closet. So that might have freaked him out when hearing that Snyder was collecting some blackmail.
But interestingly about that too is it's funny because it's like that's also like that gets less run and less pickup in the media because there are 9 different stories about Dan Snyder.
Yeah, well, and the only reason that this is reaching this crescendo is because of the amalgamation of like circumstances there. But
Anyway, can't wait for the Washington Amazons, the Washington Primes, the Washington Fulfillment Centers,
oh God,
the Washington Pee Bottles.
right. The Washington pass out on the floor.
Yeah, the Washington workplace violations.
Yeah, the Washington warehouse fires.
The Washington Pinkertons.
That's good. That should be the good.
I love that.
The next one, right?
It's their uniforms are just going to be like pork pie hats and suits.
Well, it works because they have a nickname for the original name, like the Hogs. So that was one of them. Yeah, that was one of the ones they were considering.
That would work.
That'll be interesting. I mean, I'm sure that the facility will look as glossy as possible, but then you like take a peek under and it's just everyone's making $7.25 and they work 20 hours.
The tile just like it just like you like knock on the wall and it just like disintegrates.
How does that work if he also buys this team and then also owns one of the 4 primetime broadcasting slots that the NFL has?
Yeah, it seems like a real conflict of interest, but I think honestly, if the money pours in both ways, it doesn't really matter.
Oh my God, are you kidding me? Yeah,
they'll be happy.
They'll be thrilled.